Recording.
Okay, you don't need to do this every time.
Recording on mine, good on yours.
Okay.
Just in case.
Oh my gosh. I have to take off that thingy. There we go.
Alrighty.
The pendulum thing.
Take off what thing?
The
Pendulum thing. What do you mean?
to keep the little metal thing that bounces back and forth.
It is called a metronome.
That.
Yeah, I use the same audio file and just like rename it, and so all the settings are the same.
Well.
As you know, I am currently teaching science from home via Zoom to grade school students, which has basically turned my life into being like a streamer that like can't see the people that I'm talking to and teaching. Which for my style of teaching isn't very easy, but I'm making do, and I'm happy with like the results I've been getting in terms of the lessons I design for a digital situation. But it is kind of demoralizing, like talking to like a bunch of black boxes all day, because I have six science classes, and there's like 25 kids in each class, so I have 140 kids, something like that. And I usually only get like 15 screens on a day. And so I only see like 15 kids across 6 classes. And I think the most in one class is like 4 kids always have their camera on. And one of the things I've been doing, so when you teach a class, if you didn't know, and I was talking to one of my friends about this a long time ago when I was like going into teaching and going into all of this stuff, is I asked someone, like, when you were growing up and went to school, like, did you ever think about what the teachers had to do to plan the class and all that? Did you ever think about that?
Not really. But some of my teachers in like high school, I feel like didn't do too much work outside of the classroom. But there were the ones that did, I feel like, put a lot of work into what they were doing and the lessons.
Yeah, and there's like, and that is basically how it is. I mean, it's a grab bag right now in education. If there's a passionate teacher that puts in hard work for their students versus a teacher that is in it for the 3 months off during the summer. But you as a student, you never really thought about like what work a teacher was putting in, or like what the teacher's actual life was outside of like the time that you had them. And I never thought about that either. Like because you would go in there for your one experience with a class, and then I would like just say, for some reason later in the day, I would have to like go back to that teacher's classroom, and they're teaching like the same thing that they taught me. I'm like, oh wait, you have to do this so many times during the day. And you never, I don't know.
Well, I thought
you
like,
never thought about that kind of stuff.
Some teachers, like, you have one class to deal with, and I have like 6. So I have more work than you do. But I didn't think about the lessons and grading and everything else. I thought about grading, just not that much.
Yeah. And what I'm getting at with this is that, like, I didn't understand, because in middle school, sometimes classes are only like 40 minutes long. And like when you plan a lesson for a 40 minutes long class, like when you boil it down to how much instructional time there is in that 40-minute span, first 5 minutes is, at least for right now, it really is different when you're in a real space, because when you do like attendance and stuff, you have like a seating chart, and you can quickly do attendance in like 10 seconds. But when you're doing it on Zoom, you have to let everyone into the room, and that's how I take attendance. So it takes me about 5 minutes to get everyone in, and they're doing a warm-up during the beginning part. And then you end up having like 35, like maybe 30 minutes of actual instructional time that you can do stuff.
When you do attendance, do you like have to let everyone in? Like
every individual person.
So do you just mark them off when you see them, when you let them in?
Yeah, so I have like my on Zoom, they have like the waiting room. Everyone goes in the waiting room, and as I on my right hand comes under my left, and my other hand's on my touchpad, and I click them in as I look at their names and check them off for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know some teachers, they, I could get into the room before they even got into the room, but then some people were on the wait, or like what's the place before?
The waiting room.
The waiting
Yeah,
room.
that's a setting, and especially in K through 12 right now, with like safety of students and like not letting people in that you don't know. Like I haven't had this issue, but I obviously wouldn't let someone in unless like I saw their first and last name and I knew they were on my roster for that class. And
No,
so,
but like there would be like 5 of us in the classroom waiting, and the teacher would come in and have to let everyone else in, but only a few of us were able to get into the classroom without him
oh, that's weird.
clicking it.
It might be that it might be something with you coming in before the host gets there, something like that.
Probably.
Regardless, here's what I wanted to get to with all of this, though. So something I've been doing at the beginning is, for Christmas, I got like those daily flip calendars that have a bunch of, like, I used to have one that was like the office quotes. I felt like I got a new one every year.
Yeah.
But it was just kind of fun to like read in the morning. One that I have right now, it's called Today in Science, and so every day it has a different scientific study that was published or like released on this day. And so it's like 3 years ago, this research group released this study on this day. So that's how it works. And I'm running into the problem of, so like I just introduced this like with the new year, because I got it for Christmas. And I'm running into the problem by my last class of the day, not even my last class, by like my third class, my enthusiasm to share the information from the Today in Science, quote unquote, it diminishes. It's like period to period, like diminishing return to the max. Like I'm so excited. Like I read it the first time, like, oh, that's super cool. And then like I take a picture of it and put it on like a slide so they can all see it. And then I share it with the first class and I'm like, isn't this so interesting? And then the second class, I'm like, yeah, they did this thing. And the third class, I'm like, yeah, like this group did a thing. It's whatever. And I have to remind myself that like they're hearing this information for the first time. And so for them, I have to treat it as if it is interesting to me in that moment. But when I read it for the 6th time and try to make some fact about like some gut health study sound interesting, it was definitely interesting the first few times I read it. Don't get me wrong, but it's very, very challenging, and it's such a unique thing to have to deal with as a teacher that I don't think anyone else in the world really has to think about, is like the repetitive nature. Like you have to be novel multiple times in a day and make it sound exciting and new, like it's your first time talking about it.
It's like acting in like a theater or like on a play.
Yes,
Same type
it
of
is.
deal.
It is. But like my energy, oh my goodness, by like the end of the day, like when you're normally in class, it's fine because you're talking and you have people talking back at you. But in the Zoom thing, it's like I'm
A broken
like,
record.
it's what it sounds like, and that's what it feels like. But it's almost like I'm streaming and I don't have like voice enabled, and it's just the chat. But then the people in the chat don't want to be there, is what it feels like sometimes.
You should make it more fun to type in the chat.
I mean,
You
there's
should,
only
like
so much you can
should
do.
say something like for a fact, like, oh, we discovered that mammoths went extinct at this day or year, and then be like F's in the chat.
F's in the chat. F's in the chat, boys.
Get him to
That's
put
that.
F's in the
That
chat or
has been a
something.
funny. I did talk about because I mean, we both watch PewDiePie, and I like make jokes about like I've like sometimes like when I'm like going on to the next thing, I go like me in review, and like I make little jokes like that, and people there's like my 3 or 4 kids that understand the joke, and so that does help. I might do something funny like that.
Yeah.
And I like yesterday I was, if they finished their work they were allowed to go because it was like an assessment, and I'm like, if you guys are proud of your work, like you can leave, like just say deuces, I'm happy with my work, and you can dip out. Just let me know in the chat before you leave. And then like 3 or 4 kids are like, deuces, Mr. Horton, I'm out. And I'm like, okay. It's funny when you use certain language that they copy that language sometimes, which was a joyful treat to be able to read some jokes from these kids.
I feel like every teacher should watch PewDiePie for inspiration and how to connect with their
honestly,
kids.
How to connect with an audience, and then how to just be, when you're just sitting there talking to yourself, how to sound interesting and make jokes.
Yeah.
But
see, PewDiePie, he, like, streamers, they have their chat, but PewDiePie just does it himself. He's talking to a camera.
Yeah.
Which is kind of what you're doing.
That's what it feels like, and he does it once is where my problem comes. Like if I had my chance to, well, that's another thing. Like as the day progresses, like my first class, I mean every teacher is called like period 1 their guinea pig class. It's like my trial run for the lesson basically, and the amount of times that like the way that my lesson shifts from period 1 to the end across the day, like cutting certain stuff, changing different things. It's a current constant work in progress, and so it does change a little bit, but yeah, that repetitive thing, it really gets you.
Maybe because I know some teachers do like half of this class and half of a different class. Maybe you'll be one of those teachers that doesn't do the same thing all day.
That's what I'm really hoping for.
Except it's more work because it's double lesson plan.
Mm-hmm.
Whatnot.
It is. But as someone that I like not having to think, like there's teaching only biology all day. Like if I could break that up with like physics, or break it up except for chemistry. Chemistry is the worst.
Or even like upper, like HP biology and then CP.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not in the same spot. You're not going to be working on the same thing. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, but one day I'll get there and have my a more individualized choice for that. Along the lines of spending more time in front of the computer, do you use the screen time function on your phone to like see how much time you spent on like screens and stuff?
Not really. I just go there because I'm curious, but I usually don't go on my phone very much compared to other people like you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because well, I mean, I don't go like look at it like every day to see how I did, but I look at it once a week. Every Sunday I get every Sunday you just get like a report, and it's my goal every week is just to be some percentage down from the week prior.
What's your daily average right now?
Okay, so this is what I wanted to talk about. I have a problem. Before getting back into work, I rarely ever use my laptop for just doing stuff. Like I know people that like use their laptop like it's like an extension of their phone, or like it's an iPad where they like go on YouTube on it. Who watches YouTube on the computer? Who are these people? Everyone talks about YouTube watchers like oh on your computer. I'm like, I never watch it on my computer ever.
Well, if I'm sitting at my desk, I'll watch it. But usually I watch it on the TV, or if I'm laying in bed on my phone.
It's usually on my phone, let's be honest. Yeah, I guess using the Apple TV is kind of nice sometimes. But yeah, so if I go into screen time, my screen time is tied to my Apple ID, not just per device. It's like oh, hey, across all of your Apple IDs, this is how much time you spend on devices on a screen in a day. Well, now that I use my laptop for my work laptop, which is an additional like 6 to 8 hours a day of screen time, my screen times have jumped up some insane number that doesn't give me any actual valuable information about how much time I'm spending on a screen. Because I'm sitting on, I mean, my screen's open now. I wouldn't count this as my screen time. You know what I mean? Like this for me is like, oh yeah, we're podcasting. This doesn't count as my screen time. I want to know like how much time was I spending on social media and YouTube and stuff.
Are you sure?
Which I know that,
yeah, my computer doesn't do that.
It does for me. And like even when I had, because I used to have a limit on Reddit where it was only 30 minutes a day. Like if I go on Reddit on the browser, the same limit pops up after 30 minutes.
There's probably a thing in settings that you can change.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you've had issues with this.
No, it's always just been my phone. Like, what's your daily average right now for the week?
For this week, it's 6 hours and 19 minutes.
Holy smokes.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but like yesterday.
Well, mine for this week is 2 hours and 30 minutes.
Yeah, and so like under my 2 hours, yeah, that's good.
30 minutes.
So this is dumb. Like under most used, like Google Drive is the highest at 5 hours.
We'll just subtract that.
5 hours from the number. Well,
that's for the week though. So
that's for the week.
Well, look,
Drive,
you can just look at your YouTube and other stuff. Like what's
devices
your YouTube
up in the
for this
week? Here we go. I figured it out. In the top right hand corner, it says devices, and you can do just each device. There we go. Okay, oh, that's good. Well, I fixed the problem. I found it. In the top right hand corner, you can say devices. And my average is 3.5 hours a day. But I have stuff in here like I use the Peloton app when I do yoga in my room instead of using the bike. And then I have like tabs, which is for chords for the piano, which like I don't count that as like, oh, I was on my screen. It's like, no, I was playing the piano and I used my phone to read music. So that one feels like, but my big four are YouTube, Instagram, iMessage, and Reddit. Those are my big offenders.
Mine's TikTok, YouTube, Safari, and then iMessage.
I like having this data without having to worry about like tracking it yourself. It is nice that it's all taken care of. That's cool. Okay, well I solved my problem. Thanks for helping me solve it. Because I was getting frustrated because I have been trying to cut back on like using my phone as a mindless scroll and try to, because I saw a video by Vsauce video that he just recently did. It was about being bored, and it was like a properly long video. Like he doesn't come out with videos very often anymore, but they're all like 20 to 30 minutes now. But it was about spending time being bored and what's going on with our brains when we're spending that time. One of the things that I found really interesting from the video was that there's two ways that throughout history, the way we've done studies, like there's two ways that we process time. And there's the long short and there's short long, where if you just say you have like a very fun vacation. Yeah. Vacations, they're like jam-packed. You have a lot going on. They're super fun, and they feel like they fly by.
I wish we
most
could,
oftentimes,
like elongate vacations and then separate those jam-packed things out more,
like in our
so
you
heads. Can breathe. Because like when I'm always tired, like halfway through, and I'm just like, I want to sleep.
Oh, on a vacation.
Yes.
Oh, like physically
Yeah.
on a vacation. Yeah, it's just called taking a longer vacation. But I know what you
I
mean.
know.
The going. But because you're going, it feels like because your space, none of your time is like spent doing downtime stuff. So your brain is like happy to record a bunch of memories. When you get into the future and look back on it, it actually felt like a long time. Like, wow, we did so much stuff. And you think about all the events you did. On the flip side, though, like just like the flight over to the vacation, like we would just say it was like a 11-hour flight to Europe for us, or like you're just doing something that like feels like it takes forever. Like in the future, you don't think about that as it taking forever. Like however many times we've been to Europe, like those flights, I'm like I don't really remember the flights. They kind of just like they were a thing, they happened, but they weren't like a major like part of my memory. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Side note, that's because I'm like, oh, because if you fly in coach, or is it just economy now? And you're like, oh, if I just upgrade for this much more, I'll get a little bit more leg room and whatnot. But then the flight goes by and it's over. You could have used that money for like
Anything
other
else?
things.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
I feel about it now. I don't know.
On certain flights, I'll upgrade. Like there's
If it's not too
when
expensive.
there's a flight to Vegas from San Diego with like it's Spirit Airlines. It's the yellow plane. And it's very very inexpensive, but it's like $10 more to upgrade or like $15 more to upgrade to the aisle to the exit row. And I'm like I'm already going to Vegas, like
That makes sense.
I gamble money away there. I'm like, I kind of want to have this little luxury of having a more comfortable flight. And so I usually take that option. But other than that, yeah, I agree. So the point of the video was that, like, the way our brains record information is if it's a jam-packed event that feels like it goes by really quickly, in our memory, it usually is stored as feeling like it was a long time. Like it's like, wow, like that was so much was going on. It felt like a nice, fun vacation. But if you're doing something long and boring that like drags on, but there's not much going on in it, we record it in our memories as like feeling short, and we don't remember much about it. So like long, short, and short, long.
Is there
With-
science to prove that?
Yeah, well, I mean that's what this is based on studies and stuff, and that's what Michael Stevens, the Vsauce video, is all about, is talking about this phenomenon. But the interesting part is that they finally, once we started watching TV in like the 50s and 60s, that there's a new phenomenon where it's not a long, short, short, long, it's short, short. So for the first time, our brains are super stimulated watching TV or scrolling on phones or doing whatever. But then we don't, and for us, it feels like it goes by quick. You're like, wow, like I just watched 3 episodes of The Office and it's already asking me if I'm done watching. It does a super jam-packed, it feels jam-packed in our brain. It goes by quick. But then when we look back on it, it doesn't feel like a bunch of events happened. It was kind of like a little blip. And we don't really remember all of the stuff that was going on.
It's kind of scary.
It's
Honestly.
terrifying. It really is terrifying. And that's why I highly recommend watching the video. I really want to cut down on how much time I spend on my screens watching stuff, because it's like his like thesis at the end of the whole thing was basically you're literally like stimulating yourself out of your life. Like you are, the amount of time you spend on your phone, you're making your life go by faster from your perception, plus you aren't going to make it feel like it was long because of the activities you're doing. And he's like slow down and let your brain be bored, because that's what makes you feel like you're living. And I'm like, oh my god, I need to stop going on my phone so much. And so
I have kind of self-consciously, like if I'm watching a show and I'm like, I shouldn't be sitting here watching a show, I'll finish the episode and then I'll just get up, turn it off, get up, and then do something because of my fear of productivity. Usually
That's-
I like it could be anything as long as I'm not just sitting there. That's why I started riding the Peloton because I was just sitting there. I was like, oh, I might as well just make the best use of my time.
And it is kind of fun, and it feels like a fun little interaction with a person while
Yeah.
you do it. Have
It's
you?
kind
I mean,
of
you've only.
it's kind of scary because I'm like doing something and then I'll do something and he'll be like, "Don't put your head down, keep it up," and I'm like, "Oh,
Yeah.
whoops, sorry,
Have you-
Alex Toutant."
Toussaint, yeah, the homie. Have you done anything? Have you done any live classes yet, or has it only been the pre-recorded ones?
Just pre-recorded. I've only done it
Yeah.
3 times.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because the live classes are fun because everyone's like, well, because there's a camera on the front of it, but I don't
can
really
see
know
you,
what the
right?
camera's for. No, they can't see you.
Then why is there a camera?
I don't know. I think the camera's there for, like, you can take, like, a selfie. I don't know why the camera's there. But if you're doing pre-recorded classes, like, no one's there watching you on the other end of it.
Well, only for the live ones. Maybe if
No,
you
I don't
want
think
to.
they're watching. I don't think they're watching. Let's look that up. There's no way. There's absolutely no way. Why do Pelotons have a camera? Yes, the screen on the top of the Peloton bike and tread has a video camera. It is in the top center of your screen, and said the camera allows for you to video chat with friends during a ride. You have the option to configure it so this feature is only available for people you follow or people you're friends with. Oh,
That's
so you
kinda
can like
cool.
actually ride with people. Oh, I did not know that.
You can ride with C.
That's kind of fun.
It's such
very,
an
very fun.
ingenious idea. Like, hate that
Oh,
I
yeah.
didn't think of it first.
Well, do you remember the whole Peloton commercial back in
Yes.
when they made fun of it and stuff? That was such a
It's so dumb.
that whole thing was dumb. We don't need to talk about that. That was a long time ago and stupid. But at the beginning, I was like, "What's the deal with this Peloton, though? It feels very culty. It feels very like, yeah, like, do I want to do this kind of thing?" And then I got one. We got one, and I love it, and I'll never not use it again because it's so great. And that's what my friends and I have talked about, because I have friends that also have them, and like it's like the new like hip thing, and it's like we're all like part of a cult, and I don't mind it because it's so much fun.
Yeah. Just like to get the heartbeat going, heart rate up. That's why another reason I started is because I wanted to because we watched the video with the doctor who answers questions, and he says people who
Dr. Mike.
who work out, who increase their heart rate and lower it, like hit, slow down, have better
HIIT
chances.
stands for high intensity interval training.
Yeah, they have better chances of surviving like heart attacks and whatnot because their heart can control the beat and whatnot. That was the reason.
Oh, that's interesting.
Health wise.
It is cool because, I mean, for those who don't know, when you're biking, you use your Apple Watch, or you can, if you have a heart rate monitor that like goes below like it's like above your diaphragm, below like your like nipple line basically, and it's like it measures your heart rate. The Apple Watch is what I use, but it's really cool seeing like that live feedback of like, okay, well, we're cranking it up to like level whatever, like your cadence has to be this, your resistance has to be this, and then you feel your heart rate going up, but like you can't really quantify that by yourself of like, oh, this feels like my heart rate's at this, unless you actually know what the numbers are and have like actually known what 180 beats a minute means. Because a lot of people don't understand when they say like high intensity, like high heart rate workouts. Like, I don't think people know what high intensity really means. Like, it actually means you're huffing and puffing and your heart's like pounding. So I think it's good that they have that as a feature.
Yeah, I don't like looking at my heart rate during the ride, so I click it off, and I just look at
really?
I look at the stats after, because I feel like when I
that's
look
interesting.
at
I
my
watch
heart
it.
rate, when I start looking at my heart rate increases.
Like stage fright for yourself.
Yes.
I've
Like even
started.
if I'm looking on my watch and I just like heart rate, I'll just start looking at it and it will just start increasing.
That's so funny. I've been practicing like trying to like calm my heart rate, like to breathing techniques to lower my heart rate as low as possible. And I know exactly what you mean. Like right the second you stare at it and you're like, oh, it's going up. Like, why is it going up? And then it just keeps going up. And then it's like a positive feedback loop until your heart's pounding. And obviously it
Yeah.
doesn't go that high, but
If it goes up, it'll
that's
go up
funny.
to like 70, 80. Nothing like crazy.
It's just scary thinking about like your heart always pumping. Like and it's from you when you were born until now, it has not stopped. And that's just a kind of a bizarre thing to think about. But I like that. It's cool that you've been like focusing on that as like a health thing.
Yeah. I think I want to lower my resting. What's a good healthy resting heart rate?
So I think I mentioned this in the first episode when we were talking about like our goals and how I used to use that as a metric for how healthy I was. Because if you go into the health app on the phone, you can go to resting heart rate and you can look at it over like the last year or whatever. And when I'm not like before I like changed my diet and all that stuff, I was right around the 60 line, like 60 beats per minute. And then now I'm at like low 50s. So like 53 beats per minute. So let's look at the chart. So for athletes from like age 18 to 35, basically, it's basically the same thing. They're all kind of basically the same. But excellent is 60 and below. Athlete is 55 and below. And then like the bottom of it is like 50. Like, so you're chilling if you have like if you're in the 50s, I mean, you're a nice, great, healthy person. Good is from 60 to 65. 65 to 70 is above average. So it's so like in the 60s is what you want.
What's the lowest? So my lowest heart rate was 40.
Like lowest resting heart rate. When was that?
January 25th, 2021. 40 to 103 that day.
January 25th? Has it? It's
No,
not even
January 5th. 5th.
Oh, 5th. That was a Tuesday. Why do you? Okay, well, I mean that might just be an anomaly, possibly, not like a. But what's your average right now?
How do you look at your average? My average low is like
So
50s,
resting rate.
40s.
So if you look at the screen, where are you? Just if you go to the health app and you're under summary, the main,
Yeah.
there's resting heart rate, and it takes it every night kind of thing.
Where's
It
resting
always.
heart rate? Oh, you mean like when you're sleeping?
So it's just resting heart rate. Like that's all it says.
I don't
I
see
mean,
that.
it goes the lowest when you're resting than when you're sleeping, though.
Well, I don't wear it when I sleep.
Oh, you don't? Then your data probably won't be the best. When you're sleeping is when you get like your true resting.
I might wear it tonight.
Is when you get like your lowest resting. Obviously, resting is like an average of when you're not doing activity, but like even if you're watching a movie, your heart rate might increase just based on like what you're watching. It's a good metric, and again, I talked about this when we were talking about like my health stuff and like planning out like how to work out and how to track your health. Like I like using other than lifting. I mean, if you want to like get bigger, put on mass, and you're like, I want to hit this lifting goal, like I want to bench however many pounds, that's one thing, or squat or whatever.
I've never been into that stuff, like hitting a weight. I just want to like look good. I don't care about like.
So that's funny because a lot of people, but I know you've stuck with lifting. Some people like it's like if they're in it for the sake of looking good, often they don't stick to their goals.
I've been working out for. It hasn't been a full year yet, but I'm sticking with it.
No, no. I know that you've been doing well with it, but there are people that like if they're only in it for looking good, it doesn't often work psychologically for them, for like the little decisions they make throughout the day. But I've just personally liked using like my heart rate, my resting heart rate for like my fitness as one of my metrics for fitness, because like my weight bounces quite a bit, but if I can keep my heart rate down, that means that I know I can still run a 5K at a certain time, and I know I can still cycle and swim at a certain times. Then I'm like, I don't really care how I look because I know I'm at a certain fitness level, and that's what matters for me.
When I started, I didn't care about cardio whatsoever. I was like, cardio is a waste of time. Just need to lift. Yeah, I was wrong. And then now I'm like, wrong. Cardio is very important, and I need to do more of it, which I have. Well,
it's kind of cool how you can do some cardio. I mean, doing certain types of lifts and doing certain types of like, if you do like cycle, what do they call that? When you do multiple different lifts and you like cycle between them.
I have no idea.
Oh. Anyway, but like you move from lift to like, it's like I'm doing like these 3 exercises and then you like don't rest in between them. I can't remember the word for it. It doesn't matter. I've heard. But you get before. Your heart rate gets pounding though. You can get pounding if you do that kind of stuff. So like those kinds of workouts also do a little bit of cardio. It's not just like biking or running or anything like that.
So click on Earth 2.
Link for Earth 2. Whoa. Do you know what that picture is supposed to represent?
No.
It's supposed to be mitosis.
Whoa. It's cool.
I'm guessing. It looks like mitosis as the 2 cells divide.
So you've never seen this before?
I have not seen this. This is like jelly bean double Earth.
This is basically, so Earth has real estate and you can buy and sell property, whatever. Earth 2 is a digital Earth where you can buy and sell plots of land, but it's all virtual. So there's no real land you're actually buying. It's just like a futuristic concept for a second Earth that you can buy. Like there's little squares everywhere on the Earth that you can just buy and sell.
With real money.
With real money. And
so like on the website it says buy land. And so if I click on buy land, I can literally pick places and buy them.
Yes. And what's crazy, you see did you click on buy land?
Yeah.
You can see the little flags.
I can't see any flags, but I do see...
We'll zoom in a little bit.
If you zoom in, every single one of these has a unique code. And these numbers don't even have anything to do with each other.
Like some of them, because there's little flags on like all these different plots. Holy,
where am I? I just...
zoom in.
The price per tile right now where I am is $37 a tile. Where the heck am I? I'm in San Francisco. That's why.
I'm going to go...
Oh, my goodness. What?
Down here.
How much is it? This is bizarre. So why?
I don't know the actual reason. But basically, you can buy
I see the flags. I see the flags.
You see the flags?
Yes. It's like at a certain zoom in level. What do these flags represent?
Different people who have bought these pieces of land.
Really?
Yes. With real money. They're buying digital squares that represent real property.
And then they can, eventually sell it for a profit? If the value of that real estate in that area goes up, they can just sell it.
They say it is our vision that virtual land will increase in value over time based on demand, location, and earning potential much the same way that physical land does. So be sure to claim your own land in key locations around the world early on. So basically, it's buy this fake thing, it will increase over time and then sell it for a profit.
It's very Bitcoin.
No, Bitcoin makes more sense than this, though. Plain.
That is true, because this makes no sense.
We aim for Earth 2 to be the beginning of the Earth's fully immersive virtual reality similar to The Matrix or Ready Player One. So I think they're preparing for when we get to the point where we can go, if we ever get to like Matrix level or Ready Player One, where like there's a virtual world, that people will already own land within the world through Earth 2. So you're buying this, if you keep it forever, if we get to that point, you can, like, that's your land in the virtual world. I don't know if, it's not for sure, I don't think.
Yeah, but what if like this company can't build the virtual world? Also, like the Google Maps that it's, or Mapbox, is that what it's from? Like I went to our current house location, and I could buy my current house for $446. But this is not the house across the street still being built. And so when was this taken? 2016 probably. This is bizarre. Very bizarre.
Make a profit. I think this website's just to make money, obviously.
It must be like they have a leaderboard. It's just like who has the most. Holy moly, who is this fool that has $65,000 worth of credits in this?
And it just doesn't, I don't know.
Hey, this is interesting. Yeah, so when I click on, so I'm going to click on, so it's like the top 50 board here of people that can do whatever. And so like, let's pick number 10. Random string of letters. So they own 34 properties. All these return rates are very negative. But I wonder if how easy it is to transfer money in there, and like how you transfer money in, if you have to use like Bitcoin or whatever, which you probably do.
It just said PayPal.
That makes sense. Market value history. This is interesting. I don't trade cryptos anymore. I'm out of the game. Do you still have cryptocurrencies?
No.
Yeah, I don't.
Very disappointed because I sold Bitcoin at 3,000, and it is worth a lot right now. I sold because I had a full Bitcoin.
You had a full Bitcoin worth? Yeah, it's worth.
Yeah, don't tell me.
Oh wow.
Don't tell me.
I don't. Like $35,000. That's horrible. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, and I wonder if. Yeah, it says a virtual 1-to-1 scale version of Earth is inevitable, and Earth 2 is the beginning of this exciting future. Phase 1 is now and is live now and represents a central global body that aims to determine ownership of digital assets and property inside the futuristic virtual metaverse on Earth. So this company is running on the assumption that they'll be like the grand server for our future Earth.
They'll be like they'll be the server of like the ownership of property in our virtual Earth.
Isn't that the wonderful thing about virtual spaces though? Is that like, just say I love
make more of them.
Yeah, like I could like
I want a beach property too. Boop.
Like I want to live in the White House. I can just live in the White House and then just don't show me the other people that are living in the same exact spot as me. Like I can still walk around it. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to. We could all be living on top of each other, and we wouldn't even know it because every individual person can have their own individual space. Like I don't like being trapped to like how space works in the real world. Like I don't need to worry about space the same way that a current flesh and blood human should worry about it. In this physical space, if we're able to like fully immerse, then that's such a weird limiting factor that we would put on ourselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, well, I'm thank you for showing me this. I think it's interesting, but
watching the future, if we just bought a few tiles, we'd be set. But we made fun of it instead.
I know. We're right now instead of buy, we're just mocking it, and then this is like in a TV show where you jump cut into the future, and then we're like, dang.